Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a red flag that I see in ladies. I think it's a really important one, and it's not necessarily like one singular red flag. I just didn't really know how to say it. It's like a personality trait. I usually see these two things in conjunction with each other, and we're going to talk about it. But first, I want to mention I'm not necessarily talking about like very obvious ones, such as a woman who hits you, someone who flirts with other men, etc. Those things I think are a little bit more obvious, but this one I feel like is something that is very easily missed. And in my opinion, I feel like this is a little bit more common and it's important to know about this. I think somebody who's a man might not notice it as much because you guys don't talk with other you talk with other men rather than with other ladies typically. So I'm a woman and I see this a lot. I think a woman who is never satisfied and that's paired with like emotional instability, I think this is a very, very challenging situation. And I want to first illustrate why I think men miss this, and then we'll talk about why this is a red flag. I think a lot of men, I'll try and say it from this angle. I think you guys know when a guy is a red flag or when he's not good or he's not going to commit or something like that more than women do. And so let's say a guy is like really flattering a woman and he's really manipulating her and things like that. A man can easily tell that that guy is being dishonest and being manipulated, but a lot of women actually fall for men like that. So this is kind of like on that branch. Similar versions of this is like a woman who really, I don't know, she like really hates women, where like a woman who really, really hates women and really supports men. It's good to support men, but usually if she hates something that she is, she either struggles with low self-esteem or she's like very manipulative. And you'll see these women will act like they're very traditional, but in actuality, they're not. They might be like cheating or they might be on their second or third marriage. And like that one, I feel like is a little bit more obvious. And for women, we can see that like a mile away. Like we can see women like that because we understand that that's not healthy. Men sometimes fall for women like that. And this one is similar. So it's basically she's really unsatisfied and emotionally unstable, but she doesn't start that way. And so how does she start? Usually she starts being like very easygoing, and the reason why it starts showing up as never satisfied and emotionally unstable is because her being easygoing is a manipulation tactic typically, whether she knows it or not. She's like easygoing, she's on your side, which is good, but it's not genuine, okay? She's doing it because she's trying to earn something from you, and as soon as she gets you, she goes 180 and starts showing you the true version of her. This is not all the time, but you'll start seeing women like this, and usually it happens because she feels like if she showed you her true self, you wouldn't want her. So she kind of pretends. It's really similar to a guy who's like, he's really not commitment forward, but he's like pretending he's very, very commitment forward, gets married really quickly, and then like in 6 months he cheats or something like that. I've seen people like that. And so it's kind of similar. And so why is this type of lady challenging to be in a relationship with? One, being never satisfied means she's going to nitpick you, and that means it's going to bring you down, and you're going to start feeling you're not enough, which will make you feel constantly resentful, overwhelmed, and exhausted. Why this is tricky is because at first she acted very easygoing and she let everything slide, and then she bottles that up, and then she kind of crashes out, and now she picks at literally everything, and she shows up very emotionally unstable because she was holding back a lot of emotions. A woman who's a little bit more normal, she's going to have some things that she expects, and so will you. Like regular men also have expectations. Doesn't mean you have to have high expectations, but you're a human. And if somebody pretends like they don't have any, it's usually for a various number of reasons. And that's why usually you'll see that 180 flip. I don't know if you've seen it where some women, they're like completely different as soon as they get married. This is kind of that same thing. You see a complete flip, and then she starts nitpicking because in actuality, she's actually really unsatisfied and unhappy. And you stay in that cycle because you remember how she was at first. And you start thinking it's your fault that she became like this because originally she wasn't like this. But in actuality, it's something that she's been struggling with. And usually women like this, if you ask their history, they're going to say all their ex-boyfriends were like abusive or like didn't treat her right or something like that. And it's something to really keep in mind because yes, there are plenty of men who are not good and plenty of women who are not good, but there are also plenty of men and women who are great. And so it's really interesting if somebody has all their ex-partners are not good people. It makes you think, what were they doing to drive people away? Why do they have that angle? Do they have a victim mentality? Or why do they pick people who are not good for them? In general, that's really not a good sign. And then the next reason why a woman like this can be pretty challenging is she makes a relationship feel like an endless cycle. You do something to make her happy, and then it only works temporarily, and then she's unhappy again. And then her emotions are very fueled by what you do and what you say, and it's a lot of lingering unhappiness. And so the relationship remains on the edge. But remember, as I mentioned in the beginning, she's not necessarily always like this. And so what happens is there's a part of your mind that's chasing the original version of her, but it was never an original version. It was just a facade. Whether she meant to or not, it still was a facade. The next one is it's difficult to break up with someone like this because in the beginning, you still cherish that. They normally don't let you go easily because they're emotionally unstable, and they struggle with control issues. So it's actually kind of frightening to break up with someone like this because they make a really big, I don't want to say a big scene because I'm not trying to diminish these issues into like small issues. It's pretty serious, but it's almost like the entirety of even having a conversation with this person can be really challenging, let alone trying to break up. They might refuse to leave your house, and they might try and get you jealous, or they might try and tell all their friends about everything you did wrong. And it's like really scary when in the beginning she wasn't like this at all. So you keep thinking it's your fault. The next one is that you tend to have they tend to have very little positive connections. And because of that, you almost start perceiving the world a little bit negative as well. And then what ends up, because you're picking that up from her, and actually it's because she drove people away. And so what happens is you become her sole support system, and that becomes incredibly exhausting. But you care and you're genuine, so you believe her when she says all these people were like really bad to her. So you almost take like this rescuing type of angle, but you become tired and exhausted. And then there's a part of you that starts feeling very resentful for her, almost kind of understanding all the bad people in her life. And then you feel guilty about feeling that way. And so you don't want to leave her, and you feel guilty about that. The next one is these types of women or people, they tend to be unstable in other parts of their life too. They always have a friend who they're having trouble with. They don't have a stable job, or they're always in and out of jobs. They always feel like their boss hates them. There's always like almost like drama always around them. And it's a lack of that emotional composure that really creates this kind of like cloud of like negativity and drama and instability. And then what ends up happening is because she's not holding a job, not having friends, whatever it is, you almost have pressure to support her in those ways, including financially. And the last one is she's chronically unhappy with like everything, which is why she nitpicks you, which is why she has low self-esteem, which is why in the beginning she didn't present this way. And then what happens is once she shows her true colors, she's like really negative, really chronically unhappy. And being around someone like that, it kind of warps your way of thinking. You start seeing things in her perspective. You start picking up those negative thoughts, even though you were never like that at first. And it could result in you becoming an unhappy person as well. And so this is why I think a woman who is never satisfied paired with emotional instability can be really challenging to be in a relationship with. But I want to emphasize, because I feel like I didn't emphasize it enough in the beginning, which is why I tried to emphasize it throughout. She usually doesn't start this way. Because if she did, you would probably not be with her. And so don't blame yourself for thinking you turned her into this. Most normal people, man or woman, they don't turn into something unless they're being like abused or like frequent manipulation. But if you know you're not doing anything wrong and you don't know why she turned into this like different person, it's a common pattern. You're not alone. And so I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.